With us today is the person on my speed dial, whether I need instant answers or I need to vent. I always find him referring to my father as an elder brother and a go-to person when needing calming advice. I am grateful to Mr. Sidharth Luthra for his kind presence, and I welcome you, sir, to share your thoughts with us this evening.
Honorable Justice P.S. Narasimha, Shri Vinod Kant. I'll begin with the younger people in the audience because if I start taking all the names, I don't think I'll ever end. So I will start with Justice P.P. Singh, Justice Aftab Alam, Justice Shiv Kirti Singh, Justice Hemant Gupta, the youngest members of the audience, Honorable retired Chief Justices, judges of various high courts, Justice Waziri, Justice Ashutosh Kumar, Justice Gaurang Khan, Justice Smeet Singh, Justice Sharma, members of the Lokpal, and most of all, Alka Bhabi, the children, Anushri, Akriti, Aditi, Rahul, friends and well-wishers of late Ajay Tripathi, Justice Ajay Tripathi, who have come together to honor him today. My interaction with Justice Tripathi goes back to the time when I was a child and he and my sister were colleagues at contemporaries of the CLC. And once, I can't call her Little Winky now, but Anushri came into our lives. She very happily adopted us as her mama, mami, and my mother as her nani. And we have another daughter in the family. So for me, it's a great privilege and a great honor to be here today to remember a man, a noble soul, a person who at various times of my life was a great pillar of support. Even as a lawyer, I would chat with him often, discuss things, and I always found that he was always there for people. A deep thinker, a person who meant that law ought to be a vehicle for social change, a strong sense of justice. His concern was that we must improve and act for the betterment of society. Though he spent his college years in Delhi, as has been told to you, one of the reasons, and I asked him, I said, why did you go back? And he said, I had to be amongst my people because that is my karma bhumi. So he went back to Patna, lived there, worked there, never shied away from difficult briefs. At one day he told me, he says there were, in his younger days, a lot of very stressful briefs that he had handled with aplomb, but it caused him. It played havoc with his health. And amongst the important cases he did was fodder scam, a disproportionate asset case against a former chief minister, as well as Bihar bifurcation. Then came elevation, and he wholeheartedly immersed himself in this change. We'd chat about it, and he'd often say, for me it was, he always used to mention for him it was a change which was smooth because it was something that he had desired to do. He felt that it was part of his mission to give back to society. So he left a very successful career and became a judge. His education in Delhi was at wonderful institutions at the Sri Ram College of Commerce, and he did have a dalliance with the public life. He was part of the Students' Union in the Delhi University. But for him, public life meant more, and therefore I think he eschewed that. And though he was, in his own way, a people's person, he also knew how to maintain the dignity of the office of a judge and was, in that sense, a very private person. At the Patna High Court, varied practice, constitutional law, service law, taxation. All of you know a lot more about him than me, and did a lot of good work in terms of the kind of range of briefs and the quality that he had. He represented the union, as Khan Sahib has said, the Income Tax Department, Special Counsel, did a term as Additional Advocate General. But what is most important to remember is, as a first-generation lawyer, he built it himself. The children, of course, have a great legacy to follow. And then in 2019, he was appointed as Judicial Member Lokpal. In a career spanning about 13 years as a judge, 1,100 plus quality judgments. And I emphasize the word on quality because quantity is something which all judges have to face. the kind of numbers our system deals with, and we as lawyers are often more than often responsible for adding to those numbers all the time. It's the quality that matters. And therefore, when we talk about pendency of cases in a court, as Khan Sahib has described the Patna High Court, I remember once I was in Patna and I had to mention a matter because my matter was only 11,000 on the list. Only 11,000. But the honorable judges were very kind. They would accommodate in urgent matters. Then 2 o'clock there was a list which used to be taken up on mentioning. A very focused man, Justice Tripathi, had a very caring nature. In his personal relations, he was a very sensitive person. I was being considered to become a law officer in the government somewhere in 2011, and this process took about 9 months. He got to know of it, and we would chat about it often, and he would call me up and say, listen, don't worry, it will happen. Have confidence, things are going to happen. Don't worry about it. And he, through his relationships, almost pursued it for me, I would say, at one level. And there was no reason to. But that was what he was. Just caring. One day I told him, I said, there's a moot court in my parents' memory. Some of the honorable judges have been gracious enough. Justice B.P. Singh had come on the first moot court and honored my father's memory. And I told Ajay bhai, I said, will you come? He said, sure, I'll come from Patna, not a problem. And he came to judge the final round. That's the kind of caring person he was, especially took out time. There was not a festival that he would forget. Not an occasion he would forget. And I used to always wonder how he would take out time to remember birthdays, festivals, Diwali, Holi, New Year, everything. And then when I lost my mother in 2020, he was there for me every day. Every day he was in our home, and I was so touched. And then COVID took him. But I'm here to talk about the gentleman and his vision as a forward-thinking jurist. So there's a lot one can speak on the personal front. But there are things to be said about his vision of access to justice, the rule of law, and his desire that we should have a more equal and better society. He was mentored by one of my teachers as well, Professor N.R. Madhav Menon, amongst the other very eminent faculty we had in the Delhi University, and especially in the Campus Law Center. In fact, speaking of Patna, sir, I remember there is the entire CLC group. There's a corridor named after now Justice D.P. Wadhwa, which is called the CLC corridor, where we have lots of alumni from our law college. I believe we have as many as 8 or 9 judges of the Supreme Court right now also from CLC. His mentor, Professor Madhav Menon, talked to him and inculcated in him an understanding as to the public being a stakeholder in the delivery of justice. He was focused on legal education, and he worked hard to setting up of Chanakya National Law University, one of the foremost institutions of teaching today law in India. He served as a member of the General and Academic Councils of the Chanakya Law University, member of the Academic Council of the National Law University, Hidayatullah National Law University, Raipur as Chief Justice. And his desire always was that legal education means empowerment, and therefore we must improve the quality of practitioners of the law, as also increase access to people who do not get into law colleges. So that was the other concern that he had, the social need that law should not be a profession of a privileged few, but it should be open to larger sections of society. And therefore, I'm so touched that the foundation has amongst its key objective the desire to follow with his legacy. And one of the aims is to bridge the delta that exists between the study of law, the practice of law, and to help improve the standard of legal education and also improve access to legal education. Because as we all know, the premier legal law colleges are not easy to access, both in terms of the entrance test as also in terms of the cost of education. I, in my conversations with him, have concurred with him many a time, as much as in my humble opinion could concur. But the desire to give back, the desire to collaborate with practitioners, organize lectures, assisting on legal aid work, These are all things which you want to do, which are very close to Ajay Bhai's heart. There is a lot that I can talk about, but I think I will leave it now, and I'll leave the floor open to Justice Narasimha. But I will say this. I think this is a very noble objective started by the family of Justice Tripathi, and I would request all the eminent honorable judges and lawyers who are present here, some of the retired judges, Justice Prakash is now a colleague at the bar. I think it's time that we should all focus on giving back to the system. Because even after we demit office, even after we reach a certain level of professional capability, we really need to take out that time to give back to society, whether it's by way of teaching, whether it's by way of pro bono work, whether it's by way of supporting students who can't afford legal education, or providing jobs or internships in our chambers to those who are not so privileged, and not just those who come in by references. Therefore, I would once again congratulate the foundation, and I look forward to attending more lectures. You have been very kind to me to think of me. There are much more eminent people here. I am here in an undeserved fashion. The only reason I can think is because in his heart, I believe he had a little affection for me, and I'm so grateful that you have thought of me today. My best wishes to the family and to the foundation. Thank you.